This is the Louie Tee Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Overtime! So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your me, Louie Tee? Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. AFC West Family Business of the highest order. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. And this was some big time AFC West family business as these two teams were squaring off with first place in the division on the line. Both teams looking to solidify their places within that division in the conference even. Win here by the Raiders gives them a great shot at finding a way to stave off the New England Patriots for that number one seed and gives them the best and most direct shot at winning this division. A loss by the Raiders in this game would allow the Chiefs to tie them at 10-3, give the Chiefs the season sweep, and take the Raiders from the number one seed in the AFC conference down to the fifth seed in the AFC conference. For the Chiefs, it's simple. Win this game, sweep the Raiders, take a slice of first place and the season series over this Raiders football team, give you the best shot at winning this division. Remember, both of these teams have games left against the other teams in the division, the Broncos and the Chargers. The difference between the two, Raiders have all road games against Broncos and Chargers left. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have a road game against the Denver Broncos, have a home game with the Broncos, and they have to go on the road for San Diego. So we'll see what happens with those two teams. But big win here for the Chiefs with this game. We'll talk about how this came to be. The big second quarter proved to be the difference in the game. Number of defensive stops by the Chiefs. Derek Carr and that pinky has to be an issue walking away from this game. Looking at his performance, this guy's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this season. To see the way he struggled in this game, you got to think that that pinky was a issue in this game. We'll talk about that. But before we do, if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. We're changing the game. Want you to help us do that by subscribing to the Louie Tee Network. Also, I'm on Twitter at In the Lab Room is the Twitter handle. Go ahead, follow me on Twitter, and I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of my social media platforms right there in the screen next to me. So let's jump into this breakdown. We start with the Kansas City Chiefs in this football game. Chiefs, they did some really good things, especially on the defensive side of football. And this is the type of win that should scare the rest of the AFC because the Chiefs turned it over 3 times in this game and they still won. Why? Because the defense is equipped to win games like this, because special teams chipped in with a touchdown, and because offensively they can do just enough to be lethal. This is a scary team. This is the type of game you're going to have to play in the playoffs and win. You don't want to turn it over 3 times, but it's going to be cold. It was 22 degrees out there. You're going to have to be able to run the football when you have to run the football. It wasn't a great night. I actually thought that the Chiefs would have success running with Spencer Ware in this game. It was actually the Raiders who had the success on the ground running the football. But when the game was on the line and they needed to run it to win this game and salt away the clock, they were able to do enough and run it and win this football game. So this is the type of ball game that moving forward, you're going to have to win if you want to succeed in the postseason. This is a big win for the Chiefs. Sloppy start for both teams. Chiefs had the muffed punt by Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek would redeem himself in a major way in this game. We'll talk about him and his exploits in this game a little bit later on. But slow start for the Chiefs. You felt like they could do some things offensively. They had the 4th and 1 stop. The Raiders were able to stop the Chiefs. Again, really disappointed in the run game tonight with the Kansas City Chiefs. I expected them to be able to run it. The Raiders had given up 231 yards in the last game versus the Buffalo Bills last week. And remember, in their last meeting between these two teams, the Chiefs ran it ultra effectively, albeit different conditions, wet, nasty day in Oakland. Doesn't matter. They ran the football with extreme production in that game. Alex Smith was extremely efficient in that game, and they destroyed the Oakland Raiders. I was expecting them not to destroy the Raiders in this game, but to kill them on the ground and really take the air out of football. On a cold night like this, you thought that would be probably the most efficient game plan for the Chiefs to get it done, but the ground game wasn't there, and you saw it on that 4th and 1. They weren't able to move the Raiders and create a new line of scrimmage, and they had to turn the football over there. So 2 turnovers early in this game, despite the Chiefs having a little something going, the defense creating 3 and outs, forcing the Raiders to punt, but the offense not utilizing those opportunities and getting the football either into field goal range or into the end zone. But then the second quarter came, and as you could see the wheels turning at the end of the first quarter. Chiefs were moving the football. Big ball to Conley on one possession, the same one that they ended up having a 4th and 1 unsuccessful attempt. But Conley with a deep ball there. And I love to make fun of Alex Smith. I love Alex Smith, but dun, 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 Captain check down. Not tonight. There was no captain check down in sight tonight, as Alex Smith was pushing the football down the field. Talked about the Conley deep ball already, but the Tyreek Hill special to start the second quarter, on the first snap of the second quarter, to Tyreek Hill for about a 45-yard touchdown. Boom, just like that. Chiefs are on the scoreboard. They were down 3-0 after the muffed Tyreek Hill punt, which gave the Raiders an opportunity to get their first points of the game. Was that a fumble by Amari Cooper? Wasn't it a fumble? Initially ruled a fumble, then overturned by replay, and Raiders get the field goal. So that Tyreek Hill touchdown set off a chain of events, opened up the floodgates, so to speak, in the second quarter for the Chiefs, as they went bananas with 21 unanswered points in that second quarter to take a 21-3 lead. It looked like they were well on their way to a blowout victory. And then the Raiders were able to put together a drive 92 yards right before the half, capped off by a 1-yard touchdown run by Latavius Murray. So this Chiefs football team did some good things. Tyreek Hill with that punt return. I've been talking about Tyreek Hill. If you've been watching the Louie Tee live program on Wednesday nights, I've been talking about him on the rookie wall and how dynamic that this guy is. He's one of my favorite players right now to watch in the league in terms of excitement. He's one of those guys that every time he touches the football, you just stop what you're doing and you watch, because the explosiveness, the speed, the sudden change of direction, all of the things that you need to be a dynamic player in this league, he has it in spades. And so when he touches the football, it's an event. You got to see what this guy's going to do. And so you knew that at some point he was going to get loose in this game. You didn't know if it was going to result in a touchdown, but you knew he was going to make some plays to atone for the boo-boo he made earlier in the game. And not only did he come back with 1 touchdown on the touchdown catch, which, again, the Chiefs have to be so pleased with him because, again, when they drafted him, they expected to get special teams prowess out of this guy. I don't know if they knew what kind of receiver they were getting. He's been exceptional as a receiver this year. I think more than what they bargained for. And you get that all in that one package. Then you get the punt return for a touchdown. And you knew that once they had to re-kick, and it's funny, Chris Collinsworth said it on the telecast, look out. Raiders got a tired punt team down there now. Let's see if that cost them, being that they have to do it again. And they had been pinning Tyreek Hill against the sideline all night. And for some strange reason, on this particular kick, Marquette King decided to kick it in the middle of the field. And you knew once he did that, the rest was history. Tyreek Hill off to the races for a touchdown. Travis Kelce was monstrous in this game as well. Charkandrick West gets the 3rd and final touchdown to go up 21-3 in this game. But I'll tell you what, Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends, a.k.a. Baby Gronk, one of the best tight ends in the league right now in terms of catching the football. This guy is a menace. Another 100-yard game. And I didn't realize how rare it was for a tight end to go over 100 yards in consecutive games. He's one of 3 tight ends in NFL history who's went over 100 yards in 4 consecutive games. And he had a big night for the Chiefs. And the thing that they did in the second half, after the 21-point outburst in the second quarter, being that they didn't score, was they did a great job of moving the football back into a position to flip the field position. And Dustin Colquitt did a great job of kicking the football and making sure he did not kick it for a touchback, but pinning the Raiders inside their own 15-yard line consistently on this night and making them have to travel the length of the field if they wanted to score a touchdown. And with the way Derek Carr was performing, you knew that was going to be tough. This defense wasn't giving up much, but what they were giving up, Carr wasn't able to take advantage of. A couple of missed deep balls and some shots that normally Derek Carr hits in his sleep. Again, the accuracy was not there. Again, I think a lot of that has to do with the injured pinky, but we'll get to that when we get to the Raiders. For the Chiefs, the second half offensively was all about flipping the field position, and I thought that Travis Kelce catch on the back shoulder throw in between two defenders might have been one of the biggest throws Alex Smith made all night, maybe outside of that Tyreek Hill touchdown to give the Chiefs their first score of the game, because that flipped the field position. That one throw on its own, they were backed up deep. And if they don't catch that one, if I'm not mistaken, that's a second down throw. If that's incomplete, now you're staring 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8 in the face inside your own 5 or 7 yard line or so. It's going to be trouble if you got to punt the football there and give the Raiders back to football with great field position. Instead, Alex Smith completes that football to Travis Kelce, and that was, to me, a really big play in the game. And Kelce continues to assert himself as one of the best tight ends in this league. And I've talked about the amount of weapons that this Chiefs, this is why they're different this time around. This is why they're a little bit more dangerous, because they've got weapons offensively. They've got guys that can make plays on special teams. They've got a number of athletes. This didn't used to be the case. Chris Conley is an athlete. Okay, DeAnthony Thomas is an athlete. We know Tyreek Hill is an athlete. Jeremy Maclin is an athlete. Travis Kelce is an athlete. They have guys they can get the football to offensively, not to mention the run game with Charkandrick West and especially Spencer Ware. And then Jamal Charles is still talking about potentially coming back for the playoffs. So that may be another wrinkle just thrown into the mix, potentially, if he's able to come back healthy. They've got some stuff, and this is a dangerous team. And we see defensively, doesn't matter who's in the game. They had a guy out there I never heard of at the cornerback position playing some bang-up corner out there in relief of Gaines, who left this ball game. And so they were able to just plug guys in. You got Derek Johnson who goes down, and I'm thinking, again, I'm no doctor, and I did not sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, but I think that's his Achilles, and he knew it. He took his helmet off, he threw it, and he just sat there, and he reflected, because I think he knows. This is a guy that had a blown Achilles before. He knows what it feels like, and I think he knew immediately. I just tore my Achilles. I just blew my Achilles out. And he knew it. And he just sat there and reflected. And he was pissed, and he knew that his season was over. And so I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not the case, but I'm telling you, it does not look good. He was already having issues with that Achilles. That's a crushing blow to this defense. But next man up, and they were able to get away with Sorensen on a number of plays. Ramik Wilson plays well inside. We'll see what they do to try to combat that loss, but they were able to get away with it tonight. But the run defense, I was very disappointed in the Chiefs' run defense tonight. Thought the Raiders, who you knew were going to be exclusively in the shotgun because of Derek Carr's finger, you knew that they were going to be in the shotgun all night. You should be been able to really key in on those shotgun handoffs. And I think because of that shotgun formation that they were in basically the entire night, pistol and so forth, I think that also kept the Chiefs on their heels a little bit. They weren't able to really get into their base personnel as much as they would like to. They were in nickel exclusively for much of the night because of that shotgun personnel. So I don't know if that was the reason why they didn't stop the run as effectively tonight. I was really expecting them to force the Raiders into throwing the football and make them one-dimensional, and they didn't really do that. I think Latavius Murray went over 100 yards. If he didn't, he was damn close. At one point, I know he had 19 carries for 95 yards. I'd like to think he went over 100 yards tonight, but the Raiders ran it effectively. So that was a disappointing takeaway from this game, but that's not who the Chiefs are. They normally stop the run, but the defense stood up tonight. 3 turnovers. Only 6 points yielded off those turnovers. And those were turnovers deep in Chiefs territory. It's not like these were turnovers when the Chiefs were driving and the Raiders still had to go 65 yards to score a touchdown, or they had to go 30 yards to get in the field goal range. They were already in field goal range on each of these turnovers, and yet they were only able to yield 6 points off of those turnovers. A testament to this Chiefs defense. They only gave up 1 touchdown tonight. They're one of the stingiest defenses in terms of points per game in the league, and you saw it tonight. They bend, but they don't break. There were opportunities now, don't get me wrong. There were some missed opportunities on the night by Derek Carr, but again, this defense did what it had to do to protect a lead that was 21-3 at one point. They did not surrender that lead after gaining that advantage in the second quarter. The Chiefs get it done in this football game really in all phases of the game. They were solid. They weren't great at any one particular phase of the game. Maybe special teams, you could say they dominated, but you did have the turnover that led to 3 points. So I'm a little apprehensive to say that they dominated in that phase of the game either, but they were better than the Raiders in every phase of the game tonight. Defense, special teams, offense. That's how you win in this league, and that's why the Chiefs walk away a 21-13 victor in this game with the season sweep over the Raiders, and now tied atop the AFC West at 10-3 with the tiebreaker in hand. Chiefs get it done in this game. Let's look at the Raiders and what they were able to accomplish and why they weren't victorious tonight. You start on the offensive side of the football. Let's start with Derek Carr, because I had heard his name over the last couple of days, more so than any other player. When the MVP was mentioned, it was Derek Carr's name that came up first. This was a very lackluster performance by Derek Carr, one that may cost him ultimately in that MVP race. We'll see what happens moving forward. He can redeem himself. There is time. There are 3 more games remaining on that Raiders schedule, so there is time for him to make up lost ground from tonight. But make no mistake about it, he was affected by his pinky. You could tell he's not putting it on the football when he throws it, and I think it's affecting the way he throws it. But this is the thing, and maybe because when you're at home in Oakland, it's not as cold, you're able to deal with it a little bit better, because we weren't talking about his pinky 2 weeks ago when he did it against Carolina. We weren't talking about his pinky when the Raiders scored 29 unanswered points in the comeback over the Buffalo Bills. All we were talking about was Derek Carr, the MVP of the league. Now you fast forward to Thursday night, it's 22 degrees, and all of a sudden the pinky looks like it's an issue. So that cold weather, coupled with the fact that it was a tough night for him to grip the football without having the pinky, I think might have been a difference maker in this game, because he was as inaccurate as I've ever seen him throughout his career. And this goes back to Fresno State, okay? I've never seen Derek Carr this inaccurate. I've seen him rattled. I've seen him throw picks back in college, and even to a certain extent in the league. I've never seen him that inaccurate, though. There are opportunities. He misses Jalen down the sideline on a touchdown. They ultimately scored a touchdown, 1-yard touchdown to Latavius Murray right before the half. So really no harm, no foul there. But that's a touchdown pass that you've seen him hit all season long with touch down the sideline. Running backs got 2 steps on Marcus Peters, who was gazing in the backfield and fell asleep behind the wheel and was beaten. And Derek Carr overshot his running back out of the backfield. And so you just don't see that from him very often. The deep ball to Amari Cooper down the field. I think Cooper actually lost sight of that football. I don't think he actually knew where that ball was, because he tried to adjust to it late and he never made it to the football. But a more accurate throw by Derek Carr there, and that's probably either a touchdown or a huge gain deep into Chiefs territory. But Carr not accurate all night. He was high. There was a crossing route to Michael Crabtree. Krabs wanted no part of that football. He knew Eric Berry was bearing down on him, and he knew the safety was coming. He didn't want any part of it. But it was high. He didn't give his receiver a chance. The guys were open all night long, and Carr was high. Balls were tipped in the air several times on the evening, and he was lucky to not have a couple of those picked off. I thought Ramik Wilson had one tip off his hands that he should have picked off. So Derek Carr, his inaccuracies, I think, can be directly correlated and traced to his pinky. And it was that a pinky and his ineffectiveness throwing the football that I thought really stymied this Raiders offense, because they were running the football successfully, which was surprising to me how well they ran the football. But again, Carr's inability to grip the football with his pinky, I think, really hurt him tonight. And that those cold temperatures did not help matters at all. You look at this Raiders offense, they made a big stink about Kelechi Osemele not playing in this game and how that really would have impacted the Raiders in the run game. It's amazing. Like, every time the Raiders are on Sunday night or Thursday night football and Chris Collinsworth is doing a game, he makes it up as if this Raiders team is a smash mouth, pound you into oblivion, run first football team. That's not who the Raiders are. I get a laugh and a chuckle out of listening to him talk as if the Raiders run it 45 times a game. This is a pass-first football team that passes to set up the run. And as much as you would like to think that the Raiders are going to smash you with their big, powerful, mighty offensive line, they pass the football more effectively than they run it. That's been their MO. That's what they do. So to sit here and hear him talk about Kelechi Osemele and how they would have pounded the Chiefs into oblivion if he was playing, I don't believe that. That's hogwash to me. They did miss his presence out there, no doubt about it. But to sit here and act as if the Raiders are a run-first team, it's a farce. But I'll tell you this much. The Raiders had opportunities in this game. They forced 3 turnovers, didn't give away the football at all. Anytime you're +3 in the turnover differential in a game, you're supposed to win. And the Raiders didn't take advantage of those opportunities. Again, a lot of that can be traced back to Derek Carr's injury. But again, I'm not here to make any excuses for anyone. They've won 2 games with his hand being the way that it is now. So no one wants to hear about it tonight, even though the temperatures and the situation was a lot different tonight than it was in the past games. The Raiders struggle with the Chiefs. It just is what it is. They struggle with the Chiefs. Chiefs have their number right now. And so they had opportunities in this game. They ran it well. Carr didn't perform well. Defensively, they created turnovers. Look, they gave up 21 in the second quarter. 7 of that came via special teams. The defense did what it had to do in the second half to give the Raiders a chance to win this game. 2 turnovers right off the bat coming out of halftime. A pick by TJ Carey, a forced fumble by Khalil Mack as he continues his second half tear, as he continues to be a menace in the second half of the season. He's just out of this world right now. These last 3 games, making plays, creating turnovers, creating short fields, if not picking it off and taking it to the crib himself. He's doing everything that he can do to help this Raiders team defensively. We know they're not the greatest team in the world defensively, but they performed well enough to win tonight. And it's a shame that in a game where the defense actually was the catalyst for success, the offense just couldn't get their act together and meet the intensity and match that intensity that the defense brought to the table tonight. Again, the defense stopped the run very impressively. I expected the Chiefs to have more success on the ground. They didn't. And that's a testament to this Raiders defense. They created turnovers, 2 on defense, 1 on special teams, and they weren't able to win this game. They gave up a big play in the first half with the touchdown to Tyreek Hill. They gave up some big passing plays to Travis Kelce throughout the game to allow the Chiefs to flip field position. But when they needed to buckle down and get a stop, they forced the Chiefs to punt. In the second half of this game, Raiders had ample opportunities. They just weren't able to get it done on the offensive side of the football. And so it's a disappointing loss if you're a Raiders fan, but it's not the end of the world. The division is still right there for the taking. Okay, the Chiefs still have some tough games ahead of them, and all you have to do is win. Now, the biggest thing is you got to go on the road. Okay, you've had a lot of home cooking. Now you're no longer undefeated on the road this season. Remember, coming into this game, you were 5-0 on the road. The only team left in the league to be undefeated on the road. That is no longer the case. You still got to go to Denver. You still got to go to San Diego. So you've still got some toughies ahead of you on the road in the division. Going to have to find a way to win at least one of those to give you a shot. Really, preferably, you'd like to win both of those games. But again, going to be tough to go on the road in Denver. You've done it before. As a matter of fact, you did it last season. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but we'll see what happens, as right now you're tied atop this division with the Chiefs at 10-3. after the 21-13 defeat at Arrowhead. So I think the Raiders had opportunities in this game, and I think a healthy Derek Carr, maybe the outcome of this game is different, but no healthy Derek Carr, no win for the Raiders in this football game. Let's get to some of your comments now and see what you guys have to say as the Chiefs got it done in this game, 21-13. First name, last name says, do you think Derek Carr will still be high in the MVP voting after this game? It's just one game. This isn't going to make or break the MVP voting. What I will say is that it was a primetime game, so everyone was watching. That did not help his case, but there's still 3 games left. And Derek Carr, there's no denying the body of work that he's put forth this season. So, in essence, yes, this game was not a huge help for him. This was not a boost to his MVP candidacy, but like I said, they showed the graphic. 5 game-winning touchdowns, the most in NFL history this season. This guy's been phenomenal this year. This one game isn't going to make or break him. He's still got 3 games left to prove that he is the MVP of this league. If he can bounce back and play better, and this Raiders team wins this division, he's probably going to win the MVP. But this game did not help him at all. Chris Deaver says, I knew Kansas City was the real deal. Can't wait till Sunday Night Football. No doubt about it. I've been talking about the Chiefs all season long. Before the season, I said I thought they were going to win this division. I never backed off of that because this Chiefs team, they do the one thing that you got to be able to do to win in this league, and that's play defense and don't give up points. And the thing that makes them even more dangerous is that they create turnovers. They've got one of the best turnover differentials in the entire National Football League. And now with this newfound wealth of talent on offense, in addition to what they can do on special teams with Tyreek Hill and with keep wanting to call him Demaryius Thomas, DeAnthony Thomas, they've got some weapons on special teams. They've got offensive weaponry now, something they didn't have in the past. And defensively, they've always been a juggernaut, and they continue to be that. And they're really not even healthy yet. Guys are still trying to find their way back. I thought the Oakland Raiders did a phenomenal job of pass protecting tonight because you thought early on after you saw Houston get to Carr and force a sack early in the game that this is going to be a long night for Austin Howard and company out there at the right tackle position, and that they were going to move guys around, twist and stunts, and they were going to win. Chris Jones got early pressure, beat Vidal Alexander when he was in early. They benched him after that and put in John Feliciano. I thought they were going to have some issues blocking this Chiefs front. That wasn't the case tonight. So give the Raiders some credit up front. They got it done. But this Chiefs defense still getting back to health. D Ford coming off of the hamstring. I think this is his 2nd week back. He's still getting his footing back. We know that Justin Houston, despite the 4-sack game on Sunday night a couple weeks back, he's still getting back into the swing of things. Tamba Hali, you're not seeing him as much. So these guys are starting to get back. They're going to be a dangerous, formidable team come playoff time with the defense, the special teams, and now the offense's ability to do some things with the explosive players. If they could get the football into some of these guys' hands, as you saw tonight with Kelsey, with Tyreek Hill. I thought Alex Smith was inaccurate on some of these wide receiver screens. I thought there were some opportunities. If he gets it to them cleanly, they don't have to jump in the air, or it's not low or behind them. They had some opportunities to spring some of these plays. They've got guys that are so dynamic. If you just get them the football out in space, look out. It could be a big play coming. This makes this Chiefs team a lot more deadlier than, say, last season when they pushed the Patriots to the limit. I think they're an even better team this time around. They're scary. They're going to miss Derek Johnson. That's a big injury. Much like the Earl Thomas Seahawks injury, this is a big injury for the Chiefs. We'll see how they're able to overcome that, though, moving forward. Nick Riley says, man, the Chiefs were hot ass in the second half, but pulled it off. Look, when you play as well as they do defensively, you have an outburst offensively in terms of point production in the second quarter with 21. A lot of times with this Chiefs football team and the way they play defense, 21 points is going to be enough to win on most weeks for them because they're so good at stopping the other team from getting into the end zone, as you saw tonight, with the Raiders having so many opportunities in the red zone to score and only being able to come away with 6 points. off those 3 turnovers, by the way. Raiders did score 1 touchdown in the red zone right before the half. Enrique Valencia says, when did Brock decide to play for the Raiders? 3.8 yards per attempt. Yikes. Sorry, had to take that cheap shot. It's all good, man. Derek Carr's finger was the issue tonight. I really think that if he was healthy, they would have had a legitimate shot at winning this game because he missed some throws that, like I said, I'm just not accustomed to seeing him miss. And I hate to make excuses. Excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got one, but I think this is where one is really justified. I think his finger was really a source of frustration for him tonight in this game. All right, moving on. Nick Riley says, my bad, bro. Been working like crazy. Haven't been able to catch much live videos. Hey, man, it's all about getting that paper, man. Get that paper. It's a paper chase out there. Get your hand on as much as possible. Get that bread, man. Eat it up. And so, I ain't got a problem with that. The playback is always there and readily available for you, man. Don't ever let me stop you from getting that dough. Get that. Glad you back, though, man. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Nick Riley says, have no idea what my boy Cooper was doing on that deep pass. I understand he lost his footing, but you got to make that adjustment and catch that. I think he didn't see it until the very end. I think he thought he knew what a football was. I don't know if that was lighting that helped him lose the football, but I don't think he saw it well until the very end. And then he tried to adjust and he stumbled a bit. And it's tough when you can't locate the football and you're running and you're trying to catch it looking over your shoulder. It's a tough go of it when you're running full speed like that. That would have been a huge play if they could have completed that. That would have definitely, if not a touchdown, if he doesn't, and I don't think he catches that in stride. I think he has to stumble or whatever may have you. But if he catches that, they're 1st and 10 deep inside of Chiefs territory. It just changes the entire complexity of the game at that juncture. See what we have. Andre Mogul says, Tyreek Hill, man. If he can stay healthy, he will shatter Devin Hester's record in returns. #electric. I don't know if he will or not. Devin set that bar really high, but I tell you this much, man. That guy is so dynamic. I just love watching him with the football. I don't really care in what capacity. Hand it to him, throw it to him, kickoff return, punt return. He's just so dynamic, man. I told you a long time ago that I thought he was the fastest player in the league. He's been clocked as such this season. I'm convinced he's the fastest player in the league, man. This dude is insane, and the acceleration is just off the charts. And it doesn't take much, man. Like 3 steps, and this dude is at top speed. And good luck trying to catch him. I mean, this guy is so dynamic out in space. The Chiefs have a real weapon on their hands there with Tyreek Hill. Nick Riley says, still think early in the game Chiefs got screwed with that overturned fumble. Call clearly a catch and fumble, but those good old bum-ass refs back at it again. So, in my opinion, it looked like his shoulder grazed the ground before the ball came loose. If you're going to rule it a catch, then that's, to me, what it looked like. You're going to rule it incomplete, then okay, whatever. But for me, I thought the shoulder was down, so I thought they were going to go with the play as called on the field. That's generally what has been the track record of the referees in the NFL this season is, hey, look, if you're not quite sure, just go with whatever you called on the field. And I thought the ruling of catch and fumble was going to stand, but it didn't. Raiders only got a field goal out of it, so it's not like it really impacted the Chiefs in this game. They were able to continue to stop the Raiders and force them into field goal attempts off of turnovers and miscues. So remember, that was on the heels of the Tyreek Hill muff. That's how they got those 3 points. Bernard543 says, Carr is obviously hurt. No doubt about it. And like I said, no one's making excuses because no one was talking about him being hurt last week when the Raiders scored 29 unanswered and won 38-24. Everyone was going goo-goo gaga over Derek Carr. So we don't want to use the excuse as a crutch. You still got to find a way to go out and get it done. But we can all see that Derek Carr was laboring and that finger was a big reason why he was so inaccurate tonight. There's no doubt about that. But again, no one's making excuses for him because no one was making excuses when the Raiders were winning despite the injury. Nick Riley says, Travis Kelce is a savage. 5 catches, buck 01. Look, man, Travis Kelce, like I said, He's up there in the upper echelon of tight ends in this league, man. There aren't many better than him in the business. You know, Jordan Reed, Rob Gronkowski, and Travis Kelce, for me, are the 3 best tight ends in the league. You put them in whatever order you want in terms of pass catchers. Those are your 3 best options right there. You know, Jimmy Graham at times has looked good this season, but he's nowhere near those 3 guys in terms of production and the way they impact games. Travis Kelce is a monster, and the Chiefs are better off because of his presence in that offense, because of what he does to the middle of the field. And what he does is he opens up things like you saw with that deep ball to Tyreek Hill. The reason the safety was late there, you got to respect Travis Kelce over the middle of the field. So that hesitation allowed Tyreek Hill to get on the heels of that corner who was playing cover 3, beat him to the post, and the safety should have been over the top to give him help over the middle of the field. He was late because of who? Travis Kelce, and that's the Kelce effect right there. That's why he's such a big-time player for them in this offense. Bernard543 says, Carr's finger is most definitely injured. That's no excuse, though. The receivers had Butterfingers tonight. Look, we've seen guys drop footballs all season long. Crabtree's had his share of issues catching the football. I think Seth Roberts doesn't have great hands. Give Nelson a great job, a pat on the back for the knockaway in the end zone on one of those early third quarter throws by Carr, which I thought Collinsworth made a great point. There was no reason for Carr to put that much touch on that football. He should have been leading him towards that back pylon away from the defender, and that's probably going to be a touchdown. Instead, he allows Nelson to get back into the play and knock it out of his hands as the two landed in the end zone. Either way, Seth Roberts doesn't have great hands. We've seen him drop the football on numerous occasions this year. That's been an MO for this Raiders team, drop passes. You saw it again tonight, but bless me, Derek Carr was not sharp. So while the Raiders receivers didn't catch the football, Derek Carr didn't give them good balls to catch all night. Bless me again, God save me. So it was a rough night all the way around for this offense outside of the run game, which was extraordinary for the Raiders tonight. Raiders defense, and this is from Bernard543, Raiders defense probably had their best performance today. This is an L on our offense, and I feel the same way. And it's amazing, it's strange that on a night where the Raiders defense actually steps up to the plate, the defense gets it done, the offense doesn't. And it's been the reverse all season long. And for a game where you needed your offense to just be what they've been all season, because you got so much production out of your defense, the offense just didn't come to the party tonight. And that's got to be frustrating. Kevin Skeel says, hey, love the show, Louie. I look forward to listening to your insight into the game every week. Hashtag best NFL post game on YouTube. Appreciate that, man. I really do. I look forward to bringing this coverage to y'all every week, man. Love talking to y'all about the game that we all love, the National Football League, each and every single week. Andre Mogul says, Andy Reid, Hall of Fame coach, not as of right now. He's going to have to get some hardware if he wants in. Andy Reid's been so good over the life of his career, but the problem is his postseason struggles have been well documented. Only been to one Super Bowl, of course, lost that to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. But a lot of his playoff visits have been very brief ones. If he wants to have his name enshrined in Canton, he's going to have to win a Super Bowl. And if he can do that with this Chiefs football team with Alex Smith at quarterback, and that's no slight to Alex Smith, but look, we all know what Alex Smith has been throughout his career. No one thinks that you can win a Super Bowl with Alex Smith. I think you can win a Super Bowl with Alex Smith, but you're going to have to have the defense and special teams step up and make plays like they've been doing throughout the course of this season. I don't think he can carry a team by himself, but that being said, the blueprint was laid last season by the Denver Broncos that you can win with defense and special teams. You don't have to have great production from the quarterback position, which I actually think Alex Smith is a huge upgrade over any quarterback that includes Peyton Manning last year that the Denver Broncos had under center. So this Chiefs team has a legit shot. And if they win their division and they can find a way, and I think this is the key, if they can find a way to get home field throughout, Get that number 1 seed. It's not out of the realm of possibility. The Patriots have a tough stretch of football coming to wrap up this season. Okay? Home for the Ravens, not an easy game. At Denver the following week. Home for the Jets after that, a team they struggle with in the division, family business. And then at Miami, a game that they annually lose every year in week 17. So if the Chiefs can find a way to get home field throughout, this is a scary team in the AFC. If they don't, and they got to go to Foxborough, I still think they can win that game, but it's going to be much tougher in Foxborough than at home at Arrowhead. Bernard 543 says, I think this Thursday night game was a blessing for us. We need a little more time to heal up. So you get 10 days off between the next game. And sometimes you just need a loss to reset. You know, the Raiders had been winning and they've been finding ways to win. And sometimes in wins, some of your deficiencies get lost. And I think sometimes and that's why every Cowboys fans keep saying, oh, we need a loss here. Michael Irvin, I've heard him say it at least 3. They need to lose so they can kind of recalibrate things before the playoffs. Sometimes you just need it. You don't want to lose. Obviously, you want to be the Panthers from last year and make it all the way to the Super Bowl. You know, but they had that one loss, remember, at the end of the season that allowed them to readjust their focus. And then they were able to power through and get all the way to the Super Bowl. You want to win as many as you can, but sometimes these losses are a blessing in disguise. You didn't want to lose this game to the Chiefs, though. Because, A, you didn't want to get swept by them. B, you didn't want to fall from first in the AFC to fifth. And C, you want to give yourself the best chance to have that number 1 seed in the conference. And all you had to do was win out to keep it. It's easier said than done, obviously. But we'll see how the Raiders respond. They've responded well from losses all season long. Let's see how they respond after this loss and see if they bounce back and get it done. Abraham Lopez says, Dallas is considered a Super Bowl contender and a favorite. Why not Kansas City? They are a better version of Dallas. I won't say they're a better version of Dallas because offensively the Cowboys are superior to the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think the reason why people aren't sold on the Chiefs is because of the quarterback position, because of the offense, because they don't score a ton of points. Look, the Chiefs aren't flashy. I've been saying this all year. And this is why they're not sexy. This is why no one's talking Chiefs football. This is why they're the quietest 10-3 team you've ever seen, because they're not sexy. They're not trendy. They don't score 37, okay? They win football games in an unconventional way week in and week out, okay? About a month and a half ago against Carolina, they were getting their ass whooped in that game. It was 17-3 at the half. They were struggling offensively the entire game. They find a way to battle back, and late they steal that game. They get a field goal to tie it. They steal the football away from Kelvin Benjamin, get a late field goal, win the football game. Okay, improbable victory on the road versus Carolina. Steal a game. Okay, the Denver game just a couple of weeks ago. They're down 8 with 3 minutes left and no timeouts. They've struggled to move the football all night long. There's no way they're going to move this football down the field, get in the end zone, and then tack on a 2-point conversion before the time runs out. What do? Take it down the field, get the touchdown, tack on the 2 points before time runs out, go to overtime, and win the football game. This is what this team does. Last week against Atlanta, okay? Pick 6 right before the half, breaks the 13-all tie, gives them the lead. You give up a touchdown and a go-ahead score and get the 2-point conversion the other way, a pick 2 to give you the lead and win the game 29-28 on the road. Another improbable victory. It's never pretty. It's never flashy. It's always gritty in a W with this Chiefs football team. And so that's why no one's talking about them, because they don't trust Alex Smith in this offense. But they don't have to trust Alex Smith in this offense. Let them keep doubting. There's enough stuff on that offense, and Alex Smith is more than capable of leading this team where they need to go. If they can continue to get what they're getting out of special teams and continue to get what they're getting out of this defense, which is turnovers, forced, takeaways, stopping teams from getting in the end zone, forcing teams to kick field goals, this is a dangerous team come playoff time. Bernard 543 says, Osemele is a huge piece. Yes, he is. I'm not doubting that. What I'm saying is Chris Collinsworth continues to make the case that the Raiders are a smash-mouth run football team, and they're not. You know, they were for one night against Denver. They turned back the clock to the 70s, okay? But that's not who they are. They're not a smash-mouth, you know, lineup. You know what's coming. We're going to run it right at you. We're going to run to the left with behind Donald Penn and Kelechi Osemele. That's not what they do. They throw the football with Derek Carr 35-plus times, and they win. So I thought the offensive line was just fine tonight. They ran it well. They protected Derek Carr. He was only sacked once. I'm not subscribing to that tonight. Don't really think that was a big issue. Bernard543 says, in the second half, the D made play after play. Offense couldn't capitalize. That's the story of the game. I've essentially said that. That, to me, was the story of this game. The defense made plays, especially on the first two possessions of the third quarter, with the pick by T.J. Carey and then the forced fumble by Khalil Mack, and they just weren't able to capitalize. And they had opportunities. And then they forced punts the rest of the half. I mean, every time the Chiefs would move the football, they would get right around midfield, they would bog down and have to punt. You say, okay, well, damn, they still got to go the length of the field. We've seen the Raiders do that all season long. Hell, they did it right before half. You know what I would have loved to have seen the Raiders do in this game? Change the tempo. When you scored your only touchdown of the game right before halftime, you went no huddle, you went hurry up, you changed the tempo, got the Chiefs off balance, and you were able to move the football down the field. I would have loved to have seen them at some point. You can say, all right, you know what? We got a first down. Let's change tempo. Let's hurry up and see if we can't catch the Chiefs off balance and move it down the field. And they never did that. I would have loved to have seen them change tempo in the second half. Nick Riley says, not Raiders and Chiefs related, but do you think my Vikings make playoffs? I, for one, believe they make a wild card spot. Nah, I think y'all are done. Y'all are too inconsistent to make the playoffs. I don't see the Vikings getting in. The schedule, like I said, is favorable. It sets up, but I just don't see you getting it done. And in Week 17 versus Green Bay in Lambeau, I don't see you going there and winning again like you did last season. It's not the same team, but we'll see. Anything's possible, but I don't see the Vikings getting in this season. Slip Ammo. What up, Slip? Says, even with a healthy Derek Carr, he wasn't going to win this game. Chiefs defense is legit. The Raider receivers weren't used to the cold. They're still young. Kansas City defense is the best. As much as I would love to agree with you, I don't, because Carr had opportunities. There was some missed opportunities in this game. And I even think, I'll take it a step further. I think because of that injury to his pinky, he checked it down very quickly tonight, even when there wasn't pressure. And I think that was a byproduct of him not wanting to take a hit and risking the finger getting hit. I think he was just looking to get the football out of his hands tonight. And the Derek Carr that I know has been a risk taker, a guy that pushes the football down the field. Even if his guy isn't in a great position to win, he'll chuck it down the field and they'll get a pass interference. Go look at the Raiders in pass interferences 20, 30 yards down the field. They lead the league in the most pass interference penalties gained down the field, 20 yards or more. He didn't do that tonight because he's not comfortable with that finger. I think he was just looking to get rid of the football. Even when there wasn't pressure, he would check it down to a guy that has a linebacker or a safety right there with him in no-win situations. I just think Carr was looking to get rid of that football, and I think a lot of that had to do with his pinky. Bernard543 says, I think the cold affected his pinky more than anything. Maybe so. Maybe so. I think the last couple of weeks out in Oakland, you're able to get away with the pinky not being right because it's not as cold. Maybe that cold, 22 degrees will do that to you. It'll do some things to you. Nick Riley says, I already read that. Let's keep it moving. All right, I'm all over the place. Let's get this thing back up and running. All right. See where we are. Sorry, I lost my place. All right, so if I missed your comment, I'm sorry. I accidentally exited out of the chat, so I had to come back in, and it cut off a lot of the comments that I had. But I'll pick up from Abraham Lopez says, excuses is football. No one is healthy in the NFL. Look, I'm not here to make excuses. I already said the pinky was not right, but that doesn't excuse them for the lack of taking advantage of some opportunities. They got short fields tonight. And you can say what you want about the pinky and it not being right. You didn't have to drive it 80 yards, in those situations. The defense and special teams created 3 short fields for you, and they didn't get it done. Simple as that. Some costly penalties. That's what the Raiders do. They're one of the most penalized. They're not one of the most. They are the most penalized team in the league, and they had some really bad penalties. 4th and 1. I thought they should have run it on 3rd and 1, honestly. 4th and 1, you get a penalty. Makes it 4th and 6. Can't have that. You get down there another time after one of the turnovers, I want to say after the interception by Carey, and you get a holding penalty that sends you back that forces you to have to kick a field goal. Like I said, no excuses. They had opportunities in this game. They squandered them. Rashad Hunt says, one of these teams will be in the wild card slot. Who do you see being bigger wild card threat? I've said it numerous times. I'll continue to say it. All 3 of the AFC West teams are making it. So both wild cards are coming out of the AFC West. Denver's going to be one of your wild cards, and I think the Raiders are going to be the other one. I told you I thought the Chiefs before the season, and I've said it all season long, Chiefs are the team in this division that I think is going to claim it when it's all said and done. So I think the Raiders and the Broncos are going to be your 2 wild card teams when it's all said and done. Nick Riley says, nah, man, Coop pulled that Randy Moss and said, screw it, I'm not catching that one. Trust, I remember all too well. Look, Coop, I don't think that was the case. I know Krabs did that on one play, but he wasn't going to get the first down anyway. Carr put it up a little higher than Krabs would have liked it, and I hope he's not injured. I saw them messing with his hand. I don't know if he dislocated a finger and they needed to pop it back in or what, but he left the field after that pass interference call that I really don't necessarily agree with on Nelson. He did get there a little early, but it was bang, bang, man. But anyway, yeah. I hope that Krabs is good, but he was the one that I saw alligator arm on, but it's all good. He wasn't going to get the first down anyway. Eric Berry was sizing him up, and he knew it. Rob Flacco says, people are really making excuses for the Raiders. Shaking my head. We beat them twice. We had Carr shook out there just like last game. His pinky was no problem last week against Buffalo. Again, it wasn't 22 degrees out in Oakland last week. And no one's making excuses, okay? I said the Chiefs were going to win this game before the game started. I said the Chiefs were going to win this division before the season started. I haven't moved. I feel like the Chiefs are the best team in this division. They play all 3 phases of the game better than all the other teams in their division. Denver lays a case for playing better defense than this Chiefs team, but offensively, obviously the Raiders are the best team in that division, but they have the best combination of the 3. They're solid on offense, they're really good on special teams, and they're great on defense. They create turnovers, which I think is the great equalizer there defensively that separates them from even the Broncos, who do create turnovers, but I think the Chiefs are one of the best in the business at doing that. I think this Chiefs team is extremely combustible come playoff time. And teams are going to find that out. Bernard543 says, it sucks we had to go shotgun like last week and tonight. A good defense like the Chiefs will expose that. They actually had success running the football, primarily out of the gun, which was surprising. It does take away a good portion of your playbook when you can't go play action fake. You can't, hand it off out of a traditional set, which then sets up the shots that Derek Carr likes to take down the field. So, yes, it is a little bit frustrating when a good portion of your playbook isn't available to you because of an injury to your quarterback. Rob Flacco says, if we get home field advantage, my Chiefs, he says, we could definitely make it to the Super Bowl with special teams and defense playing the way they are. I agree. I said it already. And I'll continue to make that claim for the Chiefs. If they can continue to play defense and special teams the way they're playing, if they get home field advantage, they're, to me, the favorite in the AFC to win the entire conference. Ryan Langford says, I appreciate your work. I really appreciate you tuning in and supporting the program and the movement over here. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. No doubt about it. And I appreciate you guys, each and every single one of you guys out there watching. Abraham Lopez says, but Dak is another Smith in the making. Possibly. We'll see. It's too early to make those types of assertions and claims, but He takes care of the football like Alex does. I'll tell you that much. Doesn't make any mistakes. And that's the hallmark of Alex Smith. That's another reason why the Chiefs are so dangerous. You don't just turn teams over and win games. You also got to protect the football, which is something they didn't do tonight. But normally the Chiefs, a hallmark and a staple of what they do is they don't turn it over. They don't make mistakes. They force you to make mistakes, and they take advantage of your mistakes, but they don't give you opportunities to turn them over and create short fields for the other team's offense. They normally take care of the football, and yes, that's what Dak Prescott has been doing this season, which makes the Dallas Cowboys that much more dangerous offensively. Bernard543 says, I'm tired of all these heart attack games from the Raiders. Can we please blow someone out? Last week was as good as it's going to get. You were up 14 late in that ball game. That's as good as it's going to get, man. A lot of NFL games come down to the final minutes. It's a game of inches. You hear it all the time. But that's true. This league is full of competitive games week in and week out. You just got to find a way to win them. Everybody says the same thing. Can we not have these nail biters? Every fan base says the same thing. Because you go down the stretch of these games and your heart's beating outside of your chest, and it's tough. It's tough. We'll see. Riku says, last time Kansas City beat Oakland, they won 6 straight. This was more of a lesson than a loss for them. We're going to see. Because I remember, and I was actually had this conversation with my dad earlier as the Chiefs were taking knees. I said, well, the last time, because he said, when the last time the Raiders lose? I said, well, they lost. The last time they lost was to this Chiefs team. And since then, they've run off 6 straight. I said, let's see how they respond. So I want to see. I'm actually really anxious to see how the Raiders respond to this loss. They haven't lost in quite some time. Last time they lost, they responded like a champion does. We'll see if they have that in them. Remember, the last time they lost this game, they had some road games, but they had a lot of home games coming their way because they had a really heavy front-loaded road schedule that allowed them to get a lot of those road games out of the way early. So when they lost to the Chiefs, they had a lot of home cooking coming. This time around, it's the opposite. It's the inverse. They got a lot of roadies coming up. Their final 3 games, 2 of them are on the road. So now it's going to be tough to see if they're going to be able to pull them off on the road. They've been a great road team this season, 5-1 on the road, but it's a different animal when you're on the road in the division. You're not playing Tennessee. You're not playing Baltimore when they were struggling. You're not playing New Orleans, teams that right now have losing records or are struggling this season. You're playing against teams in the division that know you, that it's tough to go on the road and win against. We're going to see what the Raiders do with those road games. Jim Hoover says, Latavius was the only Raider on the O side that showed up ready to play. Latavius Murray was outstanding tonight. Too bad he didn't have a lot of help. Andre Mogul says, I love Chris Collinsworth, but yeah, he is definitely stuck in the 70s and that Stickum era, LOL. Yeah, he just kept talking about how the Raiders are so smash mouth and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, he did that the last time, but it actually worked out that night against Denver. But I'm not really sure where he's getting that from. I Break for Rapper says, is the Crying Jordan a meme the best meme ever? I think it is. That's going down in the Hall of Fame of memes. Like, when the first inductee in the meme Hall of Fame should be the Crying Jordan. That's timeless. And even if something replaces it, nothing will ever, I don't think, will ever trump the popularity of the Crying Jordan meme, because you put that on anything, and it fit the occasion. I don't know if you'll ever see a meme take over social media like the Crying Jordan when it was at its peak. It's starting to calm down a bit, but when it was at its peak, come on, man. Crying Jordan meme, come on, man, stop. Yes, we're talking memes on this program, man. We talk it all here. And that's the last comment I got, man. So, in recapping the night, huge showdown, family business, AFC West style, Chiefs and Raiders. This is so fun when these teams are good and you get this kind of football on a Thursday night primetime slot. This is awesome. And these teams didn't disappoint. Thought the Raiders missed some opportunities, man. They had opportunities, created 3 turnovers. against a Chiefs team that doesn't give it up often. They create 3 turnovers, not able to capitalize off those turnovers, only yielding 6 points. And again, these were turnovers deep in Chiefs territory where you're saying to yourself, we got to get 7s off of these. Weren't able to do so. Even had a botched field goal that turned out to yield no points. So it was just a rough night for the Raiders offensively and even on special teams, giving up the punt return for a touchdown and missing an opportunity to get 3 points on a botched field goal attempt as Marquette King could not secure the hold. So it was a rough night for the Raiders offensively. And on a night where the defense shows up for the Raiders, unlike any game this season for the Raiders defensively, you could go back to the Tennessee game where they were able to hold the Titans down to like 10 points, but that's the Titans and they were struggling then. This was a Chiefs team that you felt like was going to be able to run the football, especially on the heels of what they did the first meeting and what the Bills did last week to this Raiders defense, 231 yards on the ground. You thought the Chiefs were going to be able to run the football, and they weren't able to. And the defense created turnovers, and the defense got stops in the second half. If not for the second quarter and the 21 points, it's a different ball game, and yet the defense created opportunities in the second half, and the Raiders offense simply did not take advantage. Give credit to the Chiefs defense. Give credit to the Chiefs offense when they had to make plays. Backed up deep in their own territory. Alex Smith finds Travis Kelce for a 30-yard chunk play to get the football out of the shadow of their own end zone. And when they punted, flipped the field position battle. Dustin Colquitt, awesome all night, keeping the Raiders pinned inside their own 15-yard line. Special teams was huge. Tyreek Hill was huge with his touchdowns in this game, 1 receiving, 1 on a punt return. Travis Kelce over 100 yards again. They did what they had to do when they had to do it late. They struggled running the football all game long, but at the end, when they knew they needed a first down to salt the game away, what did they do? 8 on first down, 1 on second down, and the final yard on third down to put this game away. The Chiefs did it offensively, on special teams, on defense. They win this football game 21-13. Both teams leave this game at 10-3, but one team is now looking at the other and saying, we own the tiebreaker over you after sweeping them this season, that being the victorious Chiefs in the football game. We'll see what happens with these two teams as they both leave this game at 10-3. I'm anxious to see how the Raiders respond to this loss, and we'll see if the Chiefs can continue to play hot football at home next week hosting the Tennessee Titans. That's going to do it for your man Louie Tee here on Thursday Night Football Overtime. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I will see you guys next time. As a matter of fact, enjoy your weekend. I will, as you know, I always will. We'll come back, we'll reconvene on Sunday, and we'll break them all down all over again. I'll see you then. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all of you out there who commented, who watched. Thank you for your support. God bless. Good night. Have a good one.
Broncos won the Super Bowl when Peyton Manning retired. 49ers won 5 games and Tom Sula got fired. RG's in Cleveland and my Rams hit the West Coast. They sleepless in Seattle cause that 12-man ain't beast mode. Oh yeah, I knew it was something I forgot to mention. Yeah, old Tom Brady about to get that suspension. Yeah, I know the Pats fans probably think that's whack. Yeah, but at the end of the day, your balls was flat. It's that time again. It's that time again to go hard in the offseason, cause we trying to win. We gon' go so hard, we don't take no days off. Hopefully one day it's all gonna pay off. Shout out your defense, they tissue, cause they soft. Catch them while they sleeping, we gon' sneak in the playoffs. I'm ready for some football, I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man